Tuesday, January 19th, and the stream should be live. So today I'm just going to work a little bit on an idea that I've had for a while. Really, I just kind of want to stream about programming sort of a automation kind of framework. You might think of something like Selenium, and Selenium might be one of the implementations, but it would be something far more general. So I'm going to try to work through the ideas sort of as I have them. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, but yeah, I'm going to kind of work through the ideas. I have a basic Maven project set up here. I'm not going to really do any tutorialization of Java. If you don't know the language, go learn it. It's not really what this is for. Anyway, so one thought that I had is I want it organized around sort of the idea of like the Gherkin kind of language. If you've ever seen that, the big issue with Gherkin is that it has a lot of, it's not that powerful. So one thing that I've been thinking is that you have a test, and a test is composed of some number of steps, right? It could have one or more. You would have a step which is composed of an action, which is composed of a single action, and then each action operates on a target, right? So you have different kinds of targets, different kinds of, well actually, this should just be action. What am I doing? I had this all planned out and then I didn't. So it's just multiple actions. Oh right, each action works on a target, and each target contains a locator. So in the case of, let's say, Selenium, your actions would be the things that you can do with like your various web elements, or maybe even, whatever page you're on, maybe you can navigate to that page. Whereas the targets would be like the elements themselves, whereas the locator might be like an XPath or a CSS tag or an ID or something like that. But you could also remap this to something like an API, right? Your actions could be various, get, put, and what are the others? Create, read, update, and delete. Yeah, those would be your actions, your create, read, update, and delete. Whereas your targets would be URLs, and your locators would be, paths to those URLs. So I believe the actual way that would work is you would have an action, and then this would be an interface, so it would be an action that you run on a target, and the action would also require, no, it wouldn't. It would be on a target, and then, thinking. So you'd have an interface, action, and then you'd have an interface of, say, a locator that would give you some target. And actually the action would be executed on the locator so that you could do, let's say, some kind of lazy, no, you wouldn't want that. You would want something like that, So locator would have a sort of target, it'd have a return of target, and it would say get, and you'd have action, which would have an execute method, and that would be void, probably not void in reality, just void for the moment, and it would have a locator that would return a type of target. Yes, I like that. Okay. Let's think about this. So you'd need an interface, let's call it action, and action, we'd need interface for target as well. Let's call it target. And so each action could be executed on some, it'd be a class of anything that extends target. And I believe it's T extends target, right? That's how you do it? Got it, okay, there we go, yeah. You have a target there, and then you would have, let's say, oh god, it's a locator, yes. And then the locator can locate anything T that extends target. Okay. And then you would have a T get, and then you would have a void execute locator that gives you t. For locator. Right. And then you would end up with, let's say, a test class. Actually, I'd like this to be an interface, not a class. And that would have a void. That would have a void run method. No, it would probably have an execution result, actually. Execution result would be the interface here, and then this would be execution result. And it would be a run method. So yeah, something like, oh wait, we don't want an implementation on this because it's a test. Yeah, there we go. So, okay. That execution result would just tell it, you know, Boolean passed or something. Just tell us if it passed. I don't know. Probably have an exception. 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 Did I misspell that? I misspelled that. Okay. Wait, no. Exception. God, I cannot spell. It's too late. Exception would be populated if the test did not pass. Okay, now let's just create an implementation package for the moment. This can all be moved around. We can get rid of core. I was going to use it for something else, but I won't be using it. So we can create, say, a test implementation. Okay. And really, a test actually needs an execution context, because you do need to carry some stuff around. I mean, an execution context is usually just like a map, but you never know. So tests, would they be bound to their execution context? Probably, but yeah, they would. Well, we'll just have you pass in any default one. That's fine. Okay. And then I think actions, actually, whenever they execute, they would execute with the execution context. Yeah. Yeah, that would probably work. Okay, so this would just implements test. So that would be test. Alright. Yes, that's fine. And yes, have the unimplemented methods for us. So, private, how is this going to work? Well, the first thing we would need, let's call it protected, we need a list of, say, actions. Right, so actions. Nope. No, wait, that's still wrong. What am I doing? Yeah, no, Java util list, that's fine. API framework, alright. So this is generic, but we don't know the actual desired type, so we need some kind of way of locating that, right? So this was the problem that I ran into before, is that you would need to pair, is that finding the locator for the action is the problem. Right, and so that's what steps do. I remember now. That's why you need steps. Because a step is an action with a locator, and that's how it works. Yes, so a step of something, what is it, some type A extends action of T, and I don't know if we can put T, or no, L extends locator of T. Will it let me do that to enforce that the types are the same? I don't think it will. I don't think it likes that. But it won't tell me why. Because T is undefined, of course it is. So let's say we don't do that. And we just bind T extends target. Right, because you would need to know the actual target. Or you'd need to know the type of the target, but that's fine. So that would mean, yeah, okay, actually that's probably fine. So you would need a void run as well. Is it run or execute on action? It is execute. Basically the same thing. Okay. And then locator of L, perfect. Okay, so actually this is step. Oh wait, actually that doesn't help, never mind. This is fine. Actually what we want is just execute there. Yeah, okay. And of course that doesn't help you with the type. Ugh, I know we need the types, but I don't remember why. I'm trying to think of how they actually help us. I know that they do. It's just... Oh, would I need it in... I bet you I need it in the implementation. I bet you that's what it is. Yeah, I know it's generic, but that's actually okay. Let's try here. So it's a step implementation. And so this implements step. Do you need... Now, can I just push the generic parameters onto you? Will that work? Can I just say A and T here? I think so, yeah, okay, so I can just push the parameters onto you. And so what that would let me do is I can do public step A action, and then T, no, L locator, locator of T, locator. Right. And you don't like that because, oh, step import, yeah. You just need to import locator, okay. That's fine. So we just store a, no, we store a protected action, no. So protected A action, and a protected locator of T. Locator. Okay. So what that will do is say this dot action equals action, this dot locator equals locator. Right? And so in execute we do action dot execute. Then we need to execute with the context. That's actually fine because we can actually put that in here. Execution context. It's fine, we just go up to the step, say context here. That's fine, and we just import that. So step still compiles, okay, that's good. Alright, and then so we just pass all of that in, yep. Okay. And so the step just kind of binds the two together. So this, yeah, the generic arguments actually don't matter at all. And so if we have execution result run, all we need to do is, well, we can return null because we don't, well, let's say execution results equals null. Can't use var here, unfortunately. Return result. Cool. Then what we do is we say actions dot for each. Then we say action. No, it's whoops. It would be steps. Steps dot for each. Step to step dot run. Whoop. Step to step dot execute context. Okay. That should work. And yeah, of course you're gonna have an issue. We can just suppress that. Who cares? So now, actually what we probably want also is we probably want like a builder for this. Yeah, that's fine. where do we want to put that? We want to put that here. So say public static class builder. And so what that will do, actually we'll do it on test itself. That'll be fine. Yeah, put that here. Or does it not allow static types? No, it does. Okay, cool. And we can say, oh, we can't make it private then. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'd rather have it over here. Because then what we can do is we can say that this has a private, a protected constructor. Okay. Just say construction not allowed. Must use builder. And we'll make it private for now. Normally you'd want it protected, but I don't care. And what we will do is we'll have a private void add step. I mean, we can modify steps directly, but it doesn't really matter. There's no point in doing that, actually. You can say steps.add step. Cool. Yeah, that's fine. And then what we can do is we can say private list steps. Then the public builder class here, steps equal new array list. Cool. That's not S, that's just a step. Okay, cool. You don't need to infer generics. Okay, so we can say public builder with step. Then we can say, let's just say action, and then we will say locator. So what this will do, we return this, and then we will say steps.add, and we'll create a new step implementation, which doesn't need all of this generic nonsense, because that can all be inferred. Action and locator of type T, then an action of type T, and then I think we need to add T to this, oops, T to that. Okay, and you don't like that probably because these aren't imported? Yeah, that's exactly why. Okay. Belongs to the raw type, so that would be AT. AT, correct? No. No, it would be. Refers to the missing type A. Ah, okay. Because that would be the type of action, but we don't have that. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? Does this really not say T extends target is not a valid substitute? Alright. Let's say T extends target. Yeah, I know that exists. Yeah, the bounds are fine. And so this would need to refer to a specific action type, which we don't have. Ugh, so annoying. I don't think nested generics are allowed, so I don't think we could do A extends action of T, right? That's not allowed? I would say A. Oh, but it actually let us do that? Oh, wow, I didn't know Java let you do that. Okay. Because then I think AT is allowed, right? Yeah, oh, wow. Okay, very nice. Very happy with that. Alright, in that case, can they go in the reverse order? Because I'd prefer that. They most certainly can. Okay, wow, that is amazing. Well done, Java. Okay. Have a little bit more faith in the type system than normal. Okay, so this is with step. Awesome. I'm going to say public void or public test build. And then what that will do is that should return, okay, so we'll say var test equals new, not vat, var test equals new test implementation. Test.add, whoops, no. What we need to do steps.forEach, and then I think we just say test add, right? You don't like that add step, right? Add step? Add step, yeah. Let me say return test. Okay. So now that we have done all of that, this should actually execute stuff now. All we would need to do, let's say we create some steps to test stuff. Say .package .steps, and we'll say .package .actions .package .targets. So, for example, you have target being, I don't know, let's say an element, and that's going to implement target. Okay. So right now that's just a marker interface, but that's perfectly fine. Let's say we have a step for like clicking if you're, you know, like on Selenium or something. Let's say implements action. An action should require a type of target, so it actually executes on an element, which does extend target, and so we just do, yep. Okay, so we'd say locator.get.click, I believe. So we want to call the click method on element. So we would say, you know, public void click. And then we probably want a logger for this. I'm just going to do a private static one. Private static final logger. Logger equals logger factory, and no, equals logger factory. Logger factory from slf4j.get for element.class. Okay. Let's see, send.internal.slf4j. Is that the right one? No, of course it's not. Oh god, where is it? Org.slf4j, there we go. So we'll say logger dot, I don't know, info, clicking, element, then we'll just give a hash of the element. Perfect, okay. And then this is going to execute dot click, awesome. Okay, and now we just need a locator. Wait, I thought that was, oh, that's step, right. Not step, action. So this is actually locators. Let's say, I don't know, element on page locator. Now we'll just call it, I don't know, simple element, element in context locator, that's what we'll do. And that will implement locator of type element. Okay, we'll add the unimplemented methods. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. And actually what locator needs to have is it needs to have a get and it needs to use the execution context. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And so now what this can do is in execution context, we probably need an implementation, so we're going to create a default execution context. And this is going to implement execution context. Okay. And then this is going to have a, it's it's going to have a get. No, it's going to get type T. It's going to be parameterized with type T, and it's going to be get. And it's going to give you a string sort of key, or you're going to give it a key and you're going to get a value out of it. Okay. Why do you not, hang on, cannot resolve T. Why does this not, oh, does this need to be in front of this, like that, before it's actually happy? Yeah, there we go. That way you can create a generic, you can give it the type if you know what the type is supposed to be, and then we'll just have a put, void put, which I guess that doesn't even need to be a type. Doesn't need to have a T with it. Object value. I mean, you might as well, actually. You might as well let it infer. Oh my god, why does Java have such weird rules with generic things? I don't understand. Okay. Now you're going to have an issue. That's perfectly fine. Alright. We can have here is we can have a protected, because we're going to want this to be extensible, map, and it's going to be from string to object. This is just going to be key to value. And it's just going to be a new hash map. Okay. And then this is going to return a casted key to value dot get. I mean, we can implement an or default later. Get key, okay. Yeah, I'm sure that's an unsafe cast, I know. And then we can say key to value dot, whoops, key to value to value dot put, and then yeah, key value, cool. Alright, so now that we have that, we can say context for this get element, or element in context locator, we can say context.get, and then we're going to have this be a element that we're expecting. And I guess it can just get, oh yeah, that was the other thing I needed, was arguments. Right. Interface. Oh, but it wasn't, right, okay, actually, that's what it was. Public element in context locator, right? So we have this, it's very public. Let's say string element name. Let's say string, yeah, element name. So this will get an element by name from the context. And this is just for testing. String element name. Say this dot element name equals element name. Cool. Say context dot get element name. Expect an element. Okay, cool. So anytime we can construct a locator, we can now get an element from the context. Okay. So in theory, actions, you don't like something. Oh yeah, get with the context. Cool. Alright, so now in main we should actually be able to test this, if I have done this right. So what we want to do is we want to create a new test builder, no, test implementation.builder. I want to say dot, why doesn't this have with step? Sure, import that. With step, and so the action is going to be a new click action. Sure, click, and then the locator will be a new element in context, and we're going to just call it element1 locator. And then we're going to say var test is equal to that. Then we're going to execute the build method, cool. Then we're going to say test.run with the context, and the context is going to be a new default execution context. Nope, 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 nope. A new default execution context, cool. We're going to say context.put, or put, and this is going to be with an element, to call it element1, then it's going to be a new element. Oh, why do you not like that? What? Implements target? What is your problem? Has it not been imported? It has not been imported. Okay. Now, in theory, if I did all of that right, which is pretty crazy, not for me though, but if I did all of that right, it should, in theory, print clicking element1, right? Let's see if 30 minutes of programming actually worked. Okay, I did it wrong. Why? Add element. Ah, yes, okay, I know what I did wrong. Yeah, you aren't being initialized. That's fair. You know the type, don't pretend you don't. I mean, I might as well just put this up here, like there's no reason for it to be here at all. Because that's what got me in trouble last time. It's okay, Alt-Shift-X, J. Haha, it works. As I figured. Okay, so now there's some other issues that have to be dealt with. I want to be able to create tests. Well, so what other issues are needed? So I know that steps need to be able to pass, steps need to be able to pass arguments into actions. So for instance, if you have, like, say, an input action, let's say, call it input, because in, well, we won't call it, well, yeah, call it input, because in Selenium you have, like, a send keys action, I think it is, that you can execute on an element. So this implements, oh god, what is it? Lost it now. Action, yes. And, okay, how do I do this? This is an element action. Alright, cool. So this implements action on element. Alright, cool. And then it's going to have, yeah, I know. You need to, I'm aware. Why are you not suggesting the edit? There we go. Thank you, Eclipse, for not being useless anymore. Okay, so the other issue was the arguments. So what we need is an arguments package. Arguments, yes. And this is going to go into the API, and it's going to be action arguments. So this will store, like, the value that you're going to input into something. So an action of A extends target, it's going to also need an A extends action, or arguments. Action arguments, no arguments. I'll just call them arguments. Why action arguments? Why am I being lame? Arguments, yes. A extends arguments. It's going to cause a whole bunch of other issues all over the place. It's going to have A arguments. Cool. That's fine. Now this is going to have just arguments, just be the generic, or no it isn't. This is actually going to have here, going to have input arguments, which is going to be a class, implements arguments, cool. And then this is going to have a public string value, just, yeah, just value. and then it's going to have a, yeah, actually that's fine. Does need to be implemented though. It's going to have a protected string value. I know the convention in Java is to have get value, I just don't care. I think it's stupid. It's just my opinion though. I think a lot of Java conventions are dumb. Cool. So yeah, this just stores the value that we're going to actually input. So if we do say input arguments here, yeah, and so we can accept input arguments here because we wouldn't be being any more strict. Cool. And now if we go into element, what we can do is we can actually add a public void input. We can say string arguments, and we can add an implementation of that. We can say inputting, or no, yeah, inputting, is it with two T's? Yeah, sure. Say it's with two, because it's, yeah, that's probably fine. Say into element, it's going to be arguments. Oh, no, it's going to be value actually. I don't want to say arguments. I say value. Yeah, we're going to say inputting value into whatever. Okay. So you just need the generic arguments because you don't actually have any. So add that there. You still have to accept the arguments even though you don't actually use them. And of course we could create a override that doesn't have arguments, that doesn't have the arguments type, but I don't think it's that important. Okay, so now the fun part is to actually yeah, get this to work. So say AR, and then R will extend arguments. That's one of the issues I remember encountering with this, is that you end up in just like generic hell. Yeah, it becomes really bad. So this actually forces the arguments to be packed in with it. So arguments, yeah. So that would be our arguments, and then we're going to say with step implementation. But step should be having issues right now. Yeah, it is. Okay. So actually, this should be execute with the action of R extends arguments. There might be a way to actually force these two to be together, but I don't think so. No, what am I doing? So say our arguments, we execute with arguments, and then the context. Right, but no, that's wrong, because the arguments should be packed in with the action, right? So that would be protected are arguments, okay? And then we would want the R in here. Okay, and then this dot arguments equals arguments. Right? Yeah, there we go. And then this should work. Do I have it in the wrong order? Locator R, yeah, that should work. Cannot be resolved to variable. Am I misspelling it? Yes, I am. Arguments, arguments, arguments. There we go. Okay, all of that should be fine. Now we just need to pass it in here. And it needs to go into there. And it's ART. Yes, art. Okay. Now, what we can do is if we can pass in null here, because null should actually be valid there. Then we can say dot with step. Oops, dot with step. So the action is going to be a new input action. Arguments would be a new input arguments with the value, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. And then the locator will be a element in context locator. Okay, we're going to locate element 2, just to ensure that they're different here. Let's say element 2. Alright, cool. New input, all we have to do is have you there. Cool. So in theory, now if I Alt-Shift-X and then J, oh, it doesn't have, right here, okay, U. Yes, R extends arguments, action of R, and then you have an issue because, no you don't, you just need the R here. Specify the type, yeah, there we go. More generics, that makes everything better. Really doesn't. J, and then, okay, why did that not execute the second step? That's a real question, why not? Is it running the old copy? It shouldn't be. Let's see here. So this is misstep, steps.add, yeah. Step.execute, input, that would be why. Because this does not actually work, so it would be a locator, dot get, context, dot input, arguments, dot get, or dot value. There we go. Then it would just, normally we'd just call the Selenium function, but right now we're just sort of testing this out to figure out if it works. What am I doing? Alt-Shift-X-J. There we go, and now it has a different hash as well. So that's how we know it's a different element. Okay, so now that I've got all of that done, Alright, Control-Shift-O, Control-Shift-S, cool. Alright, so now we have to make this a little bit nicer. So the question is, in Selenium, normally you have like web pages and things. So how does that work? So one thought that I've been having, or that I had been having with an automation framework would be that page objects would need to be proxied. And I think that will work. So if that's true, just going based on that assumption, one of the targets would end up being, let's say, page, right? Oh, whoop, that's not right. Page, right? So you'd have that. That would be your sort of base class, because if you could proxy them, what that would let you do is that would let you create, or that would let you do multi-inheritance. Let's try that out. Say pages, and I don't know, let's call it home page, or landing page actually, that's probably better. And so let's say that extends page. So then my theory is that the sort of, why do you not like that? Oh yeah, because you have to import that. So my thought would be that you would say an element, and let's say you have your logo, right? Yeah, and then you say element, maybe this is the account, or maybe this is the login page or something, or I'm trying to think of what to actually call it, because it's like the nav, it would be like the nav thing. Nah, I don't want to call it something stupid. Sure, well, actually let's, instead of doing landing page, let's do login page. That was just easier. So you'd say element logo, and then you could maybe have, or no, let's call this element, say username, element, say password. We all know what this stuff means. then we say element, I don't know, element submit. Right, cool. So, yep, file name login page, sure. Okay, so the theory is that you would create a proxy of these. Right. So in that case, you would need a locator, you would need an element on page locator. So the advantage of this, so this implements a locator of an element. Cool. Do that, and then you have a .get, which is fine. But anyway, what you could do is you could have a protected, let's say, it would be a supplier, right, of elements, and you would just call that your getter method. And then you would have element on page. In the constructor, you would just assign the supplier, and the supplier could be assigned to the function on the interface, and then you would know for sure that it was, like compile time safe. So you'd say this, oh yeah, right, you can't have public twice. Can't be that public. Say getter method equals element on page. Just call this the getter method. And that needs to be this, just to specify that we don't mean that one. Alright, cool. And so what that could be is that would be, say, new, let's say, element on page, and it would be login page, and then it would point to, say, the submit button, right? You click, oh, but you would need a specific one. No, you wouldn't. No, you would, yeah, you would, okay. That's fair. I mean, that could work if we knew what the page was, but I don't like that. Is it a function? No, function won't work that way. So we need a specific instance of that. Actually, why doesn't that? Well, that doesn't work because it needs to point to an instance. If I said var, or I said, login page equals new or equals null, I just said, say, page : submit, would that work? Yeah, that does. So you need an instance. Oh, that doesn't work the way I thought that it did. That's, Okay. Oh, is there any way to make that work? Because it'd be really cool if you could. Because you have a type, but it's not a static method. It would, I think if it were a static method, it would work. But since it's not associated, well, no, it should be. If I change it to be a function, does it work? I doubt that, but let me try. I don't think so, but it might. Because it is a type. God, I know, I'm showing off my ignorance of certain Java stuff. Let me think here. So if I do that, does that not, that probably doesn't work, does it? Login page does not define submit page that is applicable here. Oh! Page submit doesn't work, okay. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Oh, So an element on page, I don't actually know how to point to a method like that. Actually, that's not true. I do. So if you said p extends page, I think what you can do then is you could say for p here, and then because with that you would be able to, no you wouldn't, you'd be able to specify a lambda there. That doesn't help. It's annoying. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Okay. So this whole element on page stuff isn't going to do what I thought. It's kind of unfortunate. So that's going to mean that I'm going to need to do some really fancy nonsense with reflection to make this work the way that I want. It's unfortunate, but I think it can be done. We will use element in context and just say element 1. Okay. So now I have to think about this a little bit because I'm out of ideas. Let us think. I will probably call it in 10 minutes just because I need to... My brain can only do so much programming in one day. So I kind of like where this is going. It's just how do I locate elements that are on a page? And also, how do I create the page proxies in a reasonable sort of way? Guess what we can work on then is let's call it an element or a page locator, because we already have pages as targets, right? So if we have, say, a page in context locator, right? So this would implement, let's say, this implements page or locator. It'd be a locator of a page type. Yeah, we know that. Okay. Then T extends target page doesn't extend target. It does not extend target. It needs to extend target. Okay, that's fine. So then page in context locator, you would need to give it a string, let's say name. Alright, and so this, no, private and protected. Okay, not T, name. So it'd be this dot name equals name. Then it would be context.get. What we'd want to get is we would want to get a page, and then we would want to give it the name. Okay, that will work. And then let's say we define, I don't know, the navigate method. Because most pages you can navigate to. So the login page, that would be fine. And so let's just say, for argument's sake, we have a login page implementation. And of course, ideally this would be auto-generated. We have the proxy, of course, which we will work on at some other point. And then username, blah, 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 blah. We'll just say return new element for the moment. Normally this would have like a map or something. Then I will just go grab a logger from somewhere. Not test. No, test didn't have one. It wasn't click. No, it would be in here we had one, right? Okay. Let's say logger.info. I'm going to say navigating to login page. Okay. And then of course it's the element.class. We don't want that in there. Okay. So now we should create a navigate step, or navigate action. And then this is going to implement, it is going to implement, spelling that wrong. It's going to implement action with a page target, and then the arguments are just going to be the generic arguments. So yes, we'll import that from there, and we'll import that from there. And then we will add the unimplemented methods. So again, it's just going to call locator.get. Then it's going to use the context to do the getting. And then it's going to call navigate, right? Yep. Then the same thing, we can go over here and we can say context dot page, put login page. We could say new login page implementation. We can use that, and then we can. What? You have a login page implementation. Oh yeah, new. Would help if we spelled it correctly, and then we can say, I don't know, .with step. And then the action is going to be new navigate. Ideally, we wouldn't need to construct all of these. Same thing is true. We can say null. And then it's a new page in context locator. And then it's going to use login page as the name. So what we should end up with is navigating, and then say Alt Shift X and then J. Cool, we get a third step, navigating to login page. Amazing. Okay, well, I am going to call that there, just because my brain is kind of fried at the moment, but I think this is like a good good stopping point. So we managed to get the the builder for the test implemented. We got the test itself implemented, and it actually does run stuff, and it stores stuff in the execution context. And yeah, next time I'll look into proxying, and I'll remind myself how to do the proxying. Because I'm pretty sure we can have it generate, I think we can use an annotation to give it more information, or, I mean, at the very least, we can have it generate a mapping for all of these. And then we have like a runtime binding to the method name. And then I think through some magical trickery, we could add, so if it's a page in context locator, we could add a generic type to that, and then we could add a lambda to return the actual element that we want. And I think that would work. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you tomorrow, I suppose.